On that subject, can we talk about Tiger King for a little while? Has everybody watched that?
Yeah, fuck
Yeah.
Carol Baskin. That's all I gotta say.
Fuck Carol Baskin. That bitch did it. Everybody knows that bitch did it. That's that bitch.
Dude, there's all these little things. Like a girl went to it a couple years ago, and my girl was looking today, and she showed me the picture, and the girl's like, I just realized after going there 3 years ago, and in the front of the tiger cage, she goes, "This is the picture I took." It said they are also known to have people as their meal right on the cage. And like after watching that, you're like, "Fuck."
That fucking cat.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Cats and kittens.
So the best. So let's talk about the memes that have been a byproduct.
My
of all
God.
this.
Yeah.
So.
The cat dog one.
So the meme, right? It goes, Joe Exotic.
Where is it?
Can you say the G word? You just can't say the F word, right? You can't say.
We don't care. We can say.
Yeah, you can't say fa.
Don't say the
Right, so,
don't say the N.
So it's asking, right? So Joe Exotic asks, "Are you gay?"
Oh yeah.
Straight man. No. I have meth. Straight guy. A bag of meth. It's a bag of meth.
I got
Yeah.
something for you guys.
There's some good ones, man.
I'm gonna put
And
this in
Ryan,
the Discord.
since this whole quarantine thing, I've only gained like 3 pounds, man. I'm not that much fatter.
Maybe it's just you. Instead of it being like lean from being out. Well, you haven't worked anyway. Since the quarantine, you gained 3, but since you've been out of work, you gained like 10.
Since I've been out of work, I've gained like 10 or 15.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
10
I put on
10
no
pounds,
joke
you know.
20 pounds in 3 fucking weeks.
10 pounds for being out of work, but the
That's
extra
what you have
pounds
to
is
look
my
forward to if you
relationship.
ever. Oh, you don't have the kids, so don't worry about
Not
it.
yet. Not yet, at least.
No, you don't. But
Aaron, check out that meme.
she's cooking me fucking breakfast every day, and I'm not even hungry. Then I gotta make dinner.
Dave watching the sports, watching the games.
Where's that one in
I
Discord?
remember when I saw that one.
Yeah, it's in Discord.
That one's pretty fire.
Where is it?
For me, it's been like a double job change. So I was with infantry, right? For
Yeah, I've seen that one. That one's great.
for this whole quarantine thing, I had a job change like right when all this started, going to the hospital after being with infantry for 6 years. And dude, going to the hospital, there's no organized like workouts, anything like that. I can fucking drink whenever I want. I work like short shifts. It's been bad, real bad for me. I think I've gained like 15 pounds.
Have you?
Oh, yeah.
Since
I mean,
she
I
doesn't
work
have
12 on my
Discord.
desk, and it's
I don't know if you
killing
guys can see it.
Don
It says
Lewis.
Tiger and it says Don
Don
Lewis.
You gotta send that to me so I can put it in the chat so I can download it.
Yeah, send it to me, babe, and I can put it in the chat.
Do I just
That's
share
some
it?
funny stuff.
Where's my phone?
That's fucking-
Right here in my hand.
Oh, that's my phone?
Yeah,
Oh,
my phone's in the
she
bedroom.
just Googled. She
Yeah, I don't know.
Googled.
Because I was like, I was trying to find that one.
She found it
That's
quick,
fucking
man.
funny.
Some good
She's
shit
good with
though.
it.
I've been every time something sucks, I go, you know what else sucks? Carol fucking Baskin. That's what sucks. I don't like this game. You know what else I don't fucking like? Carol fucking Baskin.
Oh,
Anybody watch Ozark?
I have not watched past the
Nope.
first season.
Okay.
My wife has watched
we
it
were
all.
just talking
It's good.
about
It's
starting
worth
watching
it.
that. Is that any good?
Yeah.
Ozark?
Yeah, it's really good.
Uh-oh.
This was the worst of all the seasons, and it was still better than a lot of other shit that's out. So like
Okay.
the first and second season are like, oh my god, and then the third season, if you get to the third season, you're investing. You're like, okay, it's kind of more developing of the family dynamic than it is the actual story. So it's still good.
What I got from the gist is it's like casino owners are laundering money for like a mafia or something like that. And
I
that's
could
the
tell
base
you
story.
the beginning without ruining the whole fucking thing. So like what happens is this guy and his partner are accountants, and he's like you find out later on that he's actually one of the best in the world, and the FBI wants him and stuff like that to work for them type shit. But it starts off him and his partner, he comes into work and the cartel's there ready to kill his fucking partner because he was stealing some of the money that they were laundering for them. So he's, to save his own life and his family's life, has to find a way to launder more money for them, and they go to the Ozarks to do it. Because the vacation shit will help them do
He
stuff.
makes like a split-second decision.
Yeah.
With life on the line.
Yes.
Like, and you'll see it.
That's what a
and it's
lot of it
fucking
is.
wild. And then the end of season 1, I guarantee you, you will never guess how that season ends.
None of them. You'll never guess how any of them end.
I haven't watched season 2 or 3 yet.
Nah,
So
just
I
keep
don't know
watching.
that,
Don't worry about it.
Season 1 left you on a cliff. I remember watching the season ending. I was like, holy.
And you're at the best point because I didn't watch Game of Thrones till it was over. I didn't watch Sons of Anarchy till it was over. And right now, I don't know what's gonna. I don't know where they're gonna take the story from here because it's pretty crazy right now and it's pretty intense.
Sons of Anarchy's the shit, dude.
Yeah, but it's a good point to watch it.
My emotes that are gonna be coming out on my stream. Here's your sneak preview, boys.
And they're long. They're like an hour an episode minimum. They're 8 to 12 episode seasons. You ever watch Black Mirror?
Huh?
What?
Is this overhyped? Are we overhyping this?
I think this is no. I think at this point, because I'm in the New Jersey, New York area, and I'm seeing because we have a town called Lakewood, which is actually Rich is right on the border of it, which is all Hasidic Jews. And
Like you?
no, they are not obeying the nod over. It's like they're okay if you have to have 10 people at your house, but if you have a wedding, they are arresting them. And that is where the epicenter is in that county. So I don't know. I think a lot of more people, we were talking about this the other day, have to die off.
But is this like nature's brush fire?
Yeah.
It's just cleaning out the weak a little bit.
And this man would probably have more information than we would.
Are we talking about
So I'm gonna put you on something, right?
Yes.
So
We don't have to put any of this out there if it's classified type shit.
Oh no,
Except for
no.
Scrub streaming it.
I'm not gonna address anything that has to
Okay.
do with what we're doing operationally. But my opinion and my understanding from people that are a lot higher than I am, and what they talk about is the simple fact that there is no vaccine, there is no I'm having a brain fart right now. There's no way to really stop the spread of the virus, right? Pretty much everything that's ever come out, whether it be H1N1, SARS, all these other pandemics that have happened throughout, let's say the past 20 years, there's been something that's come out relatively quickly to stop the spread or slow it down. Right now with Corona, there is none of that. We are, I think, up there in I want to say top 20 of the oldest population in the world, right? Italy being number 1, which they have the most deaths.
Obviously, that's why.
Yeah, but they
are not the U.S. either.
Coronavirus has been around. Don't know the exact number of years, but it's been around for a while, right? And it has passed to humans in the past. This strain that has passed to humans is one of the higher contagion rates, however you want to put that, contagion rates out of any disease recently.
But the contagion rate is high. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not. It's going to be high because we don't have a lot of antibodies.
You have some echo coming back.
However, and I want to say SARS was also a coronavirus. And then, but it's just never swept through. It's got a high contagion rate, and a lot of people get infected, and a lot of people it doesn't really impact that much, and there's some people that it does. But I think once this initial wave gets through, it's going to be kind of a non-factor again. And I don't think we can really stop it. I don't think.
I mean,
I think we're slowing it down, but it's still going to make its way.
Let the man that is actively working with it talk.
So
I'm curious.
No. I really do. I like to have these conversations with people.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what you know.
Stuff, right? So here's something to think about: the seasonal flu. Why do we have to get a vaccine every year for seasonal flu?
It kills more people than coronavirus even does.
Why do we have to get one though? Is because it changes every year. There's a new strain. The fear that people have, right, is right now it's less, right? We only have, it's like I want to say seasonal flu. It's like 100,000 deaths a year in the U.S.
In the U.S. alone, yeah.
Right, and it affects mostly the old. Right now we're at I think worldwide it's 100,000 or something like that. Right now we're at like 20.
Yeah, I think it's like 600,000 worldwide.
I've seen worldwide it's upwards of millions.
Okay, but let's just throw some numbers out there. They're not accurate, but let's say 10,000 people a year die in the U.S. Right now, let's say Corona has a low death rate. It's 2,000. Yeah. Okay, the idea behind it is it does kill the people it infects that have all these predisposed
Health issues, old people, whatever.
right. So diabetes, respiratory disease, kidney disease, liver disease,
Pneumonia,
all those type of
whatever,
things, right?
yeah.
They affect those people. The idea behind it is if there becomes a more contagious, more harmful, um, fucking
Mutation.
strain, more contagious, more deadly strain that comes out, we have no way to stop it. So the more people it spreads to, the more
Chance it has of
evolution,
mutating.
the more changes happen to that strain, which could turn from only a 2% death rate of people that can
You turn
now,
airborne.
2.3.
They could turn airborne.
So the big
That's the
fear
simplest
right now
thing.
isn't necessarily how deadly it is currently. It's what its potential
Mhm.
could become.
And that's
Makes
why we have the
sense.
stay-at-home orders,
It
the
spreads on
quarantines,
surfaces,
all that
too,
type of stuff.
and breathes.
Right now, it is technically airborne, right? You can.
Well, if
can
somebody
contract it.
sneezes into your mouth, it's not going to travel 3 miles in the air.
Right. So that's what you meant by airborne. But yes, it right now it's not airborne, quote unquote, right? It can travel through circulation systems and all that type of stuff. But the whole idea is that if we
Keep it
can't
from getting
contain
to
it
that.
now and figure out how to create a vaccine now, if it continues to spread, what happens if it turns into the Black Plague, where we're having a 50% death rate of people that contract it and a 50% contagion rate where every other person gets it. So that's the idea behind it, is stop the movement now, figure out the vaccine, and then move on from there, versus letting it continue to mutate, change, evolve, and have a higher death rate.
So
The
there's
masks?
no school anytime soon.
Masks are silly, I feel like.
Yeah, masks,
Nah.
don't worry about it. As long as you're not around somebody that's coughing,
Just wash my hands.
don't wear a mask.
What was I
Don't
gonna
wear
say?
gloves.
Masks
Just
are made
wash
to
your
block
hands.
heavy dust particles. It's not
Fucking
made to
gloves.
block.
I've been
even
to the
airborne.
store just
I went to
about every
Costco.
day, and I
Well, even
only
if
touch
it's
what I buy. I come home, I wash my hands.
Yeah.
Even if it
You
was
know,
airborne, it would still get through the mask because the mask is to stop big
That's-
dust particles.
The only mask that you can use is the N95 and
Yeah,
N94.
And it does
N94.
nothing.
Like gas masks.
we already have the plan in play to go up into the mountains. Me and my friends already were like, keep the tanks on the trucks full, because I got a big ass tank on my truck, bro. I got a 36-gallon tank. But the whole thing is, we can't take care of our if it became to a point where food was scarce. My tank on my truck is big enough to get us up there if we have gas cans for the other cars, and we can hunt up there if we need to. If she like I'm not worried about nobody breaking into my house and robbing my shit. I'm not worried about somebody coming to try to steal my meat out of my freezer, but I am worried about if I have to stay in this area, how I'm gonna get the food. So we already have the plan. Coolers are cleaned, tanks are full, staying full. And he's
In reality, I think a collapse of not social media specifically, but communication systems would be the bigger lead to something like that.
No, he's diabetic though, and he does. You might know something about this. He finds it slightly easier to control his sugar when he's up at his cabin in the mountains. Like it's just a hair easier.
Is it
Interesting.
different because so a lot of people's diets change when you're away from the ability to go grab a smoothie from the corner store.
He's in Lake Placid, bro.
Huh?
He's in Lake Placid. There was the Olympic Village. You could go get fucking Burger King, but
Yeah.
it's
That's
just
what he's
he
saying,
just
though,
says it's slightly like instead of like so when he smokes pot, his blood sugar will go from like 150 to 75 ish. So he's okay, but he knows he needs to drink a soda or something or a Snapple. But when he's up there, he notices it's slightly easier to not have it fluctuate so crazy.
Is it elevation? Is it at
Yeah,
like a way higher?
it's way up there.
Okay.
I think it has, and I could be completely way off on this, but I think it has something to do with the thinner air
Could
causing your
be.
body to be just slightly.
So
more
that's the whole
alkaline.
thought of it is either later or
That
next
sounds-
week
I
he's
know that
supposed to
sounds
get his
awful,
medical
but I think
supplies and we're going to see what happens and if we have to go up there to just be more comfortable and further away from civilization too. That
So
helps.
metabolic wise, when you're at higher elevation, your metabolism works faster because you have less oxygen in your blood, so your body therefore has to work harder to scavenge that oxygen from the air. So that would be my idea behind it. Is
Just
it probably
doing
just
other
has
shit.
to do with his body's working harder.
And he's in
so it
relatively
might
good shape too,
process-
so
Yeah. So it might go into like starvation mode earlier. So, you know, it
I know.
harvests more sugars from his food. And like I said,
I don't know. He's type 1, so he doesn't
I'm
produce
already
any anymore. I don't know.
I can treat a gunshot wound really well. I mean, let's
You know,
leave it at
well, you
that.
know enough about the physiology of the body, more than I do, per
Yeah.
se. So that's
Yeah,
where we
you should
are.
be curious.
I'm literally across the bay from New York City, so that's part of the thought process. Is we're in the mountains, further away from civilization, also, because God forbid, like me and him work together. He owns a pool company, I own a construction company, so we are gonna start feeding off each other. And we did one, and his wife was fucking pissed at him. She was like, "You can't fucking go to work," and he was like, "I have to." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not gonna hug you and love you, even though I'm like, we're like 3 weeks of isolation. I'm like, we could probably hang out now, you know." But he even says it. If he gets it, he's dead. So he's gotta stay home, and that's probably the best bet for him to go up there. He's further away from the cities, not because it's social, everything.
Does diabetes like affect your immune system? like
Oh
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because your body can't regulate other things at the same time if it's all whacked out. If your blood sugar, if he doesn't have his medical supplies, and he doesn't have the supplies he needs for his pump and all that shit, and he starts getting all out of whack with his sugar, his body can't regulate all the other shit. You might be able to keep it at bay, but if it goes that crazy, you better hope and pray.
So that's
Best
part of,
squishing bananas.
that's part of the fear of corona, is that if you do contract it, it is a very deadly disease if you have any predisposition, right? So anything that weakens your body, it's going to fuck you. A normal immune system, yeah, you're fine. Like all of us right now in the chat, if we get it, we could actually be asymptomatic. We could
Yeah.
have no symptoms
No symptoms
whatsoever
and
because
then
we have a
carry it.
perfectly healthy, functioning immune system. Anybody that has any predisposition,
Is gonna
like
be
anything that
having-
weakens your body, you're fucked. Like
Yeah.
even if you survive, you are still fucked. Like a ghost, for instance. I know all you guys.
Yeah.
think it's
He's
fucked
worried
up
about it
Ghost.
too. He won't say it, but you can tell when he talks about it. He's
You can
kind of
tell,
nervous.
So I got sent home
God, I
sick
look fucking.
about 2 weeks ago.
I'm feeling it.
And
Whoa.
I didn't know what it was, and I still don't know really what it was. I had a headache, and then I got nauseous, and I started vomiting,
Just grab me the two in the fridge.
but I couldn't get tested for anything.
Nah,
so.
they won't because you're young. Well, I wasn't gonna say you're young, but you're not young. You're
But
just
I didn't
younger.
have a high fever, so that was kind of part of it. And I was like, well, it's
I need
weird
to
'cause
stop drinking.
but I
Goodness.
didn't have a high fever or anything. But like, I missed 2 days of work. I was back at work like 5 days later after my normal off days, and like you, I'm kind of one of those. I'm not a nurse or whatever you're doing, but
He called you a nurse.
I don't know what he does. I don't know what he does.
He's an army
Call you
medic.
I'm not in the medical field. I should rephrase.
So I'll just put it out here. That way, if anybody, which I hope many people do, make it this far in the podcast, or in the future, if you guys talk to me, you guys know what I do.
Do I look
A
like
medic in the U.S. Army, right? The whole idea behind it, the job skill is 68 whiskey, right? That's my MOS. I'm a healthcare specialist. By Army standards, if you're with infantry, anybody like that, you are a combat medic, right? You really go into the scope of practice of let's fix bullet holes, right? And how that affects
Let's
the body.
fix a hole in a person.
Yeah, really, that's exactly what it is. I just changed jobs over to the hospital, so I become more of that scope of healthcare specialist, which is the idea that I treat any trauma, or I'm taking vitals, or I specialize within the hospital where I'm working. With this whole COVID stuff, I'm currently working as a supervisor for a shift. I have to ensure that stuff's locked up, that people are wearing the proper personal protective equipment, that I track, PPE, right? And
I took an
ensuring
OSHA class,
that,
they annoyed
patients
me.
are being treated properly and getting escorted to the right facilities. So very broad scope in my job, where one day, you learn
You
to
are more like a nurse now.
yeah. All the way over to being
Will that help you out when you are ready to leave? Like you got, because I know being an army medic is nothing besides real world experience, but in the real world, that doesn't count for shit as far as credits or anything.
What I do in the military, what it translates into is being the EMT in the civilian side,
Okay.
where all I can do is CPR and help people take fucking glucose for their diabetes. Like, that's
But
really
it
about it.
just gives you a leg up just with the knowledge if you want to go that route.
I would say more so. It's one of those jobs where you have to take your time that you have in the military, no matter really what your job is, which I'm sure you can attest to. No matter what your job is, nothing in the military really translates well into the direct position that you are in the military. So whatever you've learned, the schooling that you've got, transitions usually to I would say more of learning how to manage people, how to lead people, how to do stuff like that. It goes more into that than actual like a specific trade, unless you're like, I don't know, they do have carpenters in the military, they have air traffic controllers, they have stuff of
That's
that
much more
nature.
specific, though.
Air
Mechanics.
traffic control transfers pretty well. I'll say this: the certifications, like a lot of our certifications are actually FAA certifications. So, not all of them, but some of them are. So you can literally go to FAA and be like, look, I've already worked at 3 or 4 towers that are regulated by you guys, and the Army just runs it. So that helps a lot. Even though I didn't go into the FAA, I went to the railroad instead. But I had that option.
I will say from personal experience, and this is, with a lot of my friends, a lot of people being in the military that I know, that a lot of people do not take what they did in the military and apply it to civilian life.
I haven't met a single person, well, only one person that continued what they did, and he was in combat in Fallujah. He ended up being a SWAT team officer. He's the only person that I know that did anything
But employers
of
love
that.
the military. They love hiring veterans.
Because usually
Yeah.
they have a better work.
You're
ethic.
totally different than
I'm gonna
the
give you
average
the
people.
key word: discipline.
I know
Is that you can
You wake
separate
up on
the role-
time, you get to work on time, you may not be good at your job, but you're willing to try.
Yeah.
All that shit.
Well, it's as simple as
All the
like,
stuff I do every day, but I don't have a job still.
That's
Chicken wieners all day.
Basically. Well, not
That's-
anymore now that the girls are home all the time.
that's one thing you definitely have to deal with being in the military is just people. You come from a lot of people that join the military are young, extremely young, right? No real job experience.
17, 18, 19.
Yeah. And that's what you either learn in the military and you get good at it, proficient at it, and you can apply it in your regular life. I'm not saying that it's really intertwined, but you can apply it when you get out. I feel like that there's also the group that do their 4 years, their 6 years, and they get out and they didn't apply it and they don't use it.
They just
And
do it
then
for
they
college
turn
or
out
whatever.
they're that poster child of homeless veterans, motherfuckers, just because they were a horrible soldier and when I say soldier, they were a horrible person and the military didn't work out for them. They got out at the end of their 4 years and they can't use any other skill when they get out.
Yeah. Basically, they
simple.
got coddled in the military that they wouldn't function in any other form of society. They survived that.
Yeah, I'm
somehow.
amazed. I grew up with one of the biggest groups of fuck ups. And all the ones that got out of the military and all the ones that took trade school and all that shit and
Trade school's the way,
who was a
brother.
drug addict, who went to prison, who went into the military, everybody that didn't die or is not still in jail came out the other side all right. Like I'm amazed.
I had so growing up, I had no plans for the military whatsoever. And even being Army, I wasn't do it. I didn't want to be 11 bang bang, Mr. Hard Ass, So so my route, because I played baseball growing up, and I was really good at baseball. I had a scholarship to Baylor, and I was dating this chick at the time, and we ended up getting married. But at the time, I felt like if I went to Baylor, left her, that she thought I would leave her. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, for you, I'll turn it down. I ended up, I was like, I'll just go to college somewhere else. I wanted to do game design, so I was planning on doing that. My dad was like, there's no fucking way I'm helping you pay for game design. There's no money in that field. Yeah, this is a long time ago. Anyway, but So I was like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. And I joined the Army. I scored high on the ASVAB, like a 95.
I forget you're my
87, something
age.
like
That was before like the
Yeah.
time of
Yeah. that was
video
before
games.
were
Video
video
games.
now. Esports wasn't around then.
No.
Anyway.
You want to come play Halo at my house, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
Halo
original
2,
Halo
baby.
was just fresh out. They're like, oh my god, this game's amazing.
The game was fire.
Yeah, CAD was
Anyway,
computer-aided design classes were like a new thing back then.
But the
Yeah.
whole reason I went to the Army was to pay for my game design school, which I never went to anyway. And then the chick I ended up marrying that was afraid I'd leave her divorced me right after I left the military. She left me, so I was like, motherfucker, I could have played baseball at Baylor. Like, I had a scholarship. I left that shit for you. But anyway, but it's just kind of funny, like, how it turns out. And then I did air traffic in the Army because I scored high, and they offered me military intelligence, which was very vague, air traffic control, and to be a drone pilot.
You took the
drone pilot
smart
probably
route.
worked out pretty well too, but
Yeah, but you might also be fucked up
Are
because
you
they're
sure
saying a
you
lot of
would've
those guys are
gotten
fucked
air
up.
traffic control. I was like,
I don't know.
what do they make?
You
And
would have
they
been
were
the guy who
like,
killed
a
El
lot of money.
Baghdadi.
Right? Can you
Yeah,
imagine?
Killed El
PTSD.
Baghdadi, bro.
Gotten PTSD from clicking a button to fucking kill dudes.
That's a cool mouse. I like that mouse.
Yeah,
It looks cool.
MM710.
plug not
Everybody show
sponsored,
your
Matt,
mouth.
let me cover it.
Everybody show your mouth. Mouse show.
Bro, this thing was so surprisingly light when I got it. It's the Cooler Master M77
MM710.
or
yeah.
711.
710 or 711 or something. It's
I
a
know
good-
nothing about this shit. How long you been on PC, Kato?
It's coming up, I think, a year and a half now.
Oh, so you're relatively new to it also.
My girlfriend just put the sauce in my chat. She goes,
I
I remember
just-
my ex dumped me because I wouldn't take the ASVAB.
Uh-uh.
Hey, my ex left me because she cheated on 7 dudes while in basic training for the chair force. So hey,
Nice.
I left my ex because she was a psycho junkie.
hey, it's okay. I was debating on messing around while she was gone because I got bored. She was gone for 2 months, and I'm like, man, this is boring.
This one that's been sitting next to me, I've been with her for 8 years now. We were sophomores in like what? I think
College
we
or
were
high school?
juniors in high school when we met. We are about to be juniors. I think it was the summer.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I
So
mean, if
what's
she
the-
cheated on
what's-
me, I don't know. She doesn't know if I cheated on her. And it's
So what's the?
You guys were
what's
young.
what's
Hey,
the
Mistakes were made.
Hey,
Trade in there, bud.
Hey, I moved
Well,
back.
Tell him who looked there.
it's
I
it-
moved
well,
back from Arizona because of this girl, and like she dumped me like not too long after she cheated on me. And shit. And I was like, "Fuck!" Like I could have still been in Arizona, but then again, I want to be with the girl I'm with now for the past. 2
How old are you
years, know
guys
what I mean?
again?
Me?
I know not you. No, the two of them, the lovebirds over there. 25, 27. How old are
is
you?
that your guess?
Kano's 25.
25. How old's your girl? 26.
I'm 20. I'm 26, and my wife is 25.
I thought you're the
Oh.
same age as fucking Shady.
Well, Shady is a year younger than me. I got held back in 2nd grade, so
I could tell.
Fucking idiot.
These are in the military now, so I mean.
don't worry. I fixed bullet holes.
So
for
you've
her.
been together 7? Yeah.
Bullet
that's-
holes for
I
you.
was married for 7 years, bro. Dated my wife for. I was with my wife for 13. Fun times.
You were with your wife, like past tense, or you're still with your wife?
No, I'm not still with my wife. Are you crazy? Nah, I'm just saying. Long story.
Yeah.
Fucking junkie and
Tigers and meth, bud.
piece of shit. Yeah, well, no tigers. I wish I would have traded. I would have.
Chinchillas and meth.
No, this is my girlfriend's. This is Amanda's. Amanda's a cool chick. She's the shit. She actually was one day because Gambit wasn't so mean at one point, and she was like, "Can I bring home some pit bulls?" And I'm like, "If you're gonna take care of them, you could bring home 2 pit bulls." Yes. Nope, she didn't bring home pit bulls. And then she's like, one day she's like, "What do you think about a chinchilla?" I'm like, "What's that mean?" She's like, "Well, can I bring home a chinchilla because I bought one, and you need to build a cage?" And I'm like, "Alright." And now I got a chinchilla. It's the easiest thing in the fucking world, though, dude. It's a cat that doesn't leave its litter box. You don't have to do nothing.
Cats are easy.
And she's scared of everything besides the dog and my daughter. She doesn't want to come out and be held. She wants to ride on the dog's back. He wants to let her. It's fucking weird. It's a weird house. It's like the Doolittles.
Cats are assholes, though. I just can't.
So is she.
No. Female cats are assholes. Male cats are a lot cooler.
Yeah, my cat has started just being an asshole recently, and I swear to God, it's just because I'm on night shift. This
Could be.
motherfucker comes in about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, right? I get off at 5, eat breakfast, maybe play the computer. I'm in bed by 7. The cat will come in and fucking start meowing like a motherfucker, jump on the bed and like stand on me.
You know
And,
they're
like,
nocturnal animals, right?
Yeah, I'm quite aware. So like at night, it's cool because the cat will like just come chill in here and play with like plastic shit or like go in the closet, but not fucking in the morning, man. She's
They
like up
wanna
there
eat.
trying to fucking wake me up.
Wants to eat.
Jersey's been
The
time
last
in
few
closet.
weekends, I'm staying at my girlfriend's, right, and we're sleeping, whatever, and fucking every single night between 2 and 5 o'clock, this fucking cat, because she lives with her grandmother still, and her grandmother fucking has a cat that's old, and since her cat's got FIV, she locks it in the room with us, and the cat's bounced off the fucking walls at 2, 3 in the morning. I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up before I throw you against a wall. Like, I'm done. I'm gonna knock your ass out, bro.
Oh, they always do it.
Oh, dude, I can't. And then my girlfriend sent me Snapchats every single night now, fucking 2 o'clock in the morning, being a dickhead. And I'm like, okay, cool. whatever,
None of
like, this
y'all
fucking asshole.
have made a good point for me to get a cat at any time in
Hey,
these conversations.
They're easy. You don't have to walk them.
They
They're
are
Just
so
really
easy, but you keep talking
Here.
about throwing them against the wall and
Here,
how
no,
they're
no, 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 no.
fucking
That's
being
listen,
assholes and standing on your chest.
listen. That's at 2 or 3 in the morning. You wanna get a reason to get a cat here? Check out the chat, bud. Check this out. I got you.
All I'm saying is, like, dogs. One of the
No, no,
things I
no.
love about
They
dogs
sleep.
is they're super loyal. They're sleep, but they're also, you know exactly like what they're thinking by the look on their face. They are very
Cats
honest
are
creatures.
cats are easy too.
My dog
You
is
just have to know their
spiteful
stuff.
as shit. If I don't like take her out
No,
as
look at
soon as
this.
I want, she'll go fucking find some place that I'll never expect, pee, and then come stare at me and stand by the door and be like, "Now I'm ready to go out,
Yep.
motherfucker," because I want to sniff around. So then I'll take her out. She'll pee outside. I'll come back in. I'll find the spot. I'll clean it up. I'll be like, "Hey, bad dog." And then guess what? 10 minutes later, she goes and stands by the door and looks at me like, "Let's go back outside. It was awesome." I'm like, "Motherfucker, like we were just out there for
But they're
10
simple.
minutes."
They're like a little emotional creatures.
He's
Check,
smart,
look at the chat.
bro.
Look
What
at
kind
the
of
chat.
dog you
You'll see-
got?
I
you'll
see
see
it.
a
What kind of
reason
dog
to
is he? Some sort of hound?
That's a reason to get a cat. That's what I'm saying.
They're adorable.
Adorable.
It's cute. It's
Tano,
cute.
what kind of
It's
dog
girls
you
are
got?
cute. Dogs are cute.
You know?
Everything's
True.
cute when they're little.
Is that what kind of dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Beagle Blue Tick mix.
Oh, you got the
I need to
smartness
find
of a
picture my
beagle
pit
then.
bull.
Dixie is a
Fucking
beagle
the
Shih
smarter
Tzu
the dog, the
mix.
bigger the asshole they are. It seems.
Facts.
She's super loyal though. I will agree with the statement. Every dog that I've ever owned has always been super loyal.
He is too. He's
labs
just a
are-
She's just
psychopath.
an asshole.
My first dog that I ever like really had and really grew up with was a lab.
So did I.
And holy shit, it was a dumb lab. It wasn't a smart lab.
Oh.
It wasn't like I love you lab. He's just like, oh,
I feel
what?
like labs get too much credit.
Dude,
My,
that's
well,
literally
that's
why
because the
I have
good
a-
labs are amazing. Because I had a good lab, and I had
Yeah,
my
but-
my lab was so good, and he was like an 85-pound dog too, and he was powerful. When I was young, I couldn't walk him on the leash, and you would let him off the leash, and he would walk 5 houses away from you in the suburbs until he like lost track of you, and then he'd come running back. The mailman would come knock on the door. My dad would look, give him the thumbs up, and the dog would walk down the street with him for like 5 houses till he couldn't see the house anymore, and then come back.
They are loyal as shit.
Yeah.
Labs, like
See the
He
picture
was-
of
he
me and my
might have been
dog I
dumb,
posted?
he might have been really dumb, but he was so fucking dumb,
Yeah.
man.
Never
Yeah,
leave
so
his
he was the
side.
type of dog. He knew the perimeter of the house, like where our yard was and all that type of stuff. We could let him out in the front
I
yard,
gotta post
and he
some
would
dog
walk to the
pictures.
edge. He'd sit there. He'd
Same.
look at us, and if we went over to the edge and walked with him, he'd walk with us, like you're saying, and he wouldn't go out of eyesight of us.
Yeah.
So as soon as he like went too far, he'd look back. He didn't see us, and he'd come running back.
That's how Duke would do it. He would just start sniffing, like if you were walking off the leash, just strolling, and he just happened to get ahead of you a couple houses, and he would come to the corner, and he would know he can't go on the street, and he would look and be like, "Oh, where are they? Okay, I'll wait here for them," and then you'd say, "Okay," and he'd go across the street.
Yeah.
This asshole though, he won't run away, but he's so smart and such an asshole, and he
My
can.
cat, my dog's an
he's-
asshole too, dude.
He's like a douchey teenager. So I lived on the beach, like 300 feet from the beach was my front door. And every morning when he was young, I would take him on the beach, take him off the leash, and he would go walk 200 feet away, start sniffing, and he'd be fine. He wouldn't run away. But as soon as I came up to him and he could just tell it was like time to go back. he immediately would just stay 10 steps ahead of me, no matter how fast or slow I was going. I could be at full sprint, and he would just be like, and then I'd start walking. He'd be like, okay, I could start sniffing stuff. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
I'd have to catch him when he would stop to take a shit and fucking or tackle him. And he's like, oh, well, that was great. Can we do that again? I like running with you. And I'd have to fucking walk him back a mile. Yeah, he's a fucking asshole. And even now, if he gets out and my daughter lets loose the leash, she's like, Dad, he got out. And it takes me like 5 minutes to find my fucking shoes. And he's just like, oh, I've never pissed on this bush. I've never pissed on this bush. Just
What a
circling the
crazy bush to
house.
piss on.
Yeah,
You
it's.
see the picture of my dog.
But if
Yeah,
you came in my house, God help you.
Yeah.
If
That's
anybody.
Our
So
dogs are
we go-
fucking spoiled, man.
Same.
If we
dude.
go into a public place with my dog, she's fine. Like you take her out, like if for instance we're taking her to like Petco, she's fine with other dogs. We take her to the dog park, fine with other dogs. But if I'm walking her on a leash around our house, because we have a townhome, so you know you got to like actually walk her on a leash unless it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night, then I can
Yeah.
let her out front, you know, without a leash. If she's on a leash for some damn reason, she's like, this is my area, this is my human. I'm gonna fight any other dog unless they're like
human.
Chihuahua size.
Yeah.
She wants to fight them.
He knows that the small dogs he can just say fuck you, but if
Yeah.
another grown, like he's still got his balls too. So think of a grown. He is smart enough and healthy enough that he should have been a working dog. And my ex-wife bought him for $1,000 from the Midwest, not
Hi.
not realizing what that type of dog. Like now,
Hello
I'm
from
putting
the
more
Midwest.
time and effort into him over the past 2 or 3 years than I ever did, and I got him from 10 weeks old because, as a grown-up male, that type of dog, who is an aggressive breed, he knows that he can use that to get what he wants. So he's just, I live in a townhouse too though, and I have, I don't know, like a 20-foot rope in the backyard just so he can go out there and I don't have to fucking walk him.
Is it Ryan? My dog does the exact same thing. If somebody has a hint of fear since she's a pit bull, if somebody looks at her and they're fucking
No,
instantly
he's
afraid of
he's
her.
good outside the house though.
No,
I can't
that's
take him
what
to
I'm
the
saying.
dog
Mine
park anymore.
Mine usually is too, but I'm saying if somebody comes over and they have a hint of being afraid of her,
Oh yeah.
she just fucks with
Oh
them, just
yeah.
growling at them, messing with them and
That's
shit,
why I
man,
got the
just
cage.
scared.
I can't
Like,
do that shit
I-
no more. I have the
have my
cage
my dog
This
will
is
come
his side of the
outside and
house
act
now.
like a bitch, but I'll just give her the sauce. dude.
because he thought those couches were his and he wanted those couches to be his. And he started telling me those couches are mine, and I said, fuck you, bitch. You don't get to go on the couches anymore. You stay on that side of the house. And you go in the fucking cage when I tell you to go in the cage. But he's so fucking smart. He knows he doesn't have to. He knows I can't shove a 90-pound dog into the cage.
I have to warn people that are darker than legitimately
I
my
like
skin
where this
color.
is going.
No,
My
no,
dog-
no, no,
My
no.
dog
I have
hates
to
No.
black
warn
people, dude.
They all do.
No,
so
the
one of my,
dogs hate black people. I had a wiener dog in Fort Rucker, and I swear to God, there was a school on post,
Oh.
and the kids would walk by behind my house on post, and it'd be fine until some poor little black kid would walk by my back fence, and my dog would lose its shit and try to climb this fence. And this is a little 15-pound wiener dog, 20-pound wiener dog. Ain't gonna do anything. But I swear to God, I don't know what it is, but it just instantly. And I
My do-
never taught the dog anything like that. I
Yeah.
never
My
did
dog
anything
has
like
always
that.
hated black people, but it's cool with light-skinned people.
It's
for
got
whatever
something to
reason.
do with
It hates
the
black people 'cause
colors
it
they
was raised
see,
around
and they're
white people,
always
yes.
seeing a white person
And
versus seeing a
my dog
black
was raised
person
in a
from
white
time to
neighborhood,
time.
and sees a black person. Says, "Oh
So
my
it
god!"
starts with men. So I have like this tier of like who I tell my dog is aggressive. Starts with dudes, right? I have to be like, hey, my dog might like you, might not like you.
Then
Number
chicks
one.
with dicks.
Number two, don't
My
wear a
favorite.
hat when you come to my
Yes,
house.
I
If you
noticed
wear a
that. Or
hat
hoods.
or hoods, my dog's gonna hate you. And
Beards
that's
sometimes don't
men
work.
or women, right?
Mm.
Number three, she likes some people. If you are a dark-skinned person, whether you be a dark Hispanic, Indian person, black, and I've tested this out,
Hates them
you
all.
have to be cognizant of my dog. I'm gonna hold her when you walk in the door. I'm gonna let her smell you. You gotta pet her, get down on one knee, give her a little kiss on the forehead. She'll be okay. But if not, she will fucking eat you. She's bit two of my friends. Now when I say bit, it's like a nip. You know what I mean? Like just opens her mouth, like grabs them real quick.
Not
and
like
I'm
an
like,
actual bite.
dude.
Like she'll let go.
Yeah. So it's like I just don't know what to do because we've tried. Like we grew up, like she grew up, not we. She grew up in Georgia, so like it's everyone there. It's not
What
just fucking white people like walking her around,
Did you
neighbors,
grow
all
up in
that stuff.
Colorado?
Hmm?
Did you grow up there in Colorado, or
No, I'm from California originally.
you and your woman are both from different states? Then.
We were best friends in high school. Like both from California.
Cool, man. Good for you.
Oh.
You guys are still happy,
Is
so.
that when you met Shady?
Yeah, so the backstory for Shady and I is we went to different I guess junior highs. Technically mine was a K through 8th. He went to a middle school technically.
Yeah.
In like a close area. And we had met in high school, and I did not like that motherfucker freshman year. He was like this long haired, like short, like pubescent, like fucking he hadn't hit puberty yet looking kid.
Shady?
So
he
Jersey,
talked-
basically
he-
Jersey.
As you know now, he talks mad shit. Like
Who,
Shady.
Shady?
Yeah, well you don't
Oh,
you
he
know him
talks
over the
all
game.
this shit.
Yeah, well you didn't know him then. He would talk mad shit. If
He
he
still
didn't know
talks
you,
mad
he'd talk
shit.
mad shit. And I've honestly looked very similar to how I look now since I was in like fucking 7th grade. Like I had actual hair, but
You're,
like since
Besides
7th
that.
grade, I've always looked like a fucking man, dude. Like so I grew up like just like everybody respected me, and this kid just like I met him and I forgot what he said, but as I like said something about like his shoes or some shit. I was like, oh, those are all right Vans, but like why aren't they white? Because he had like white Vans. There is something about his shoes, and I was like, those shits aren't white. Like just clean those up, man.
Like
And
they're
he's like, well, at least I'm not fucking 30-year-old looking fucking in freshman year. Da, 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 da. I was like, bro, this little ass kid's talking shit to me. So like we getting a little like bickering match, like it's no big deal, but we're like just talking shit back and forth. I was like, I don't fucking like this kid, man. He's just talking too much shit for me. So I don't talk like really like run into him the rest of freshman year, and then like sophomore year, I think we're at like a fucking house party, and I run into him, and we just start talking mad shit about this other person, and I was like, bro, this kid's cool as fuck. So like we just start talking, and then like it just developed into like that kid's my brother, like he's my fucking boy.
hello, Shady.
That's how
Yeah,
those types of relationships happen. I got
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 of those friends from back in the day, and that's it left.
Yeah.
I had 50 of them back then, but now I got a
I
couple.
only got a couple, yeah.
If they've lived this long, you guys will be friends forever.
Oh yeah, for sure. The thing that came up with Shady and I is that we both grew up in an area in California that like wasn't good at all. Like it's a really bad area, and in different ways we both came up. So I ended up moving in with my dad. My dad was successful, small business owner, all this type of stuff. I moved in with my dad, and he lived in a nice area up in the mountains. Shady grew up with his mom down in the same area that I grew up in, and he ended up moving in with his grandparents who lived in the nice area.
That's good.
So we both ended up going to like middle school and
Similar
high school.
upbringings and similar
Yeah.
opportunity as you got older.
Well, plus you go to a hick ass town in California, you might not believe it.
That's
but
not
there
what
are
we
places-
see. That's not what us East Coasters think of California, though.
California.
I know
Well, yeah,
enough to know it's.
You might. I would say like northern East Coasters don't believe that, but anybody from the South, anybody from the Midwest, and anybody from Texas, which I don't consider the South, but Texas, believe that people from California are all fucking liberal, like motherfuckers,
Oh, they are. They are.
or surfers.